Dylan in Queens, New York. Hey, Bombcast. With E3 just around the corner, I was curious if there had been any thoughts on addressing the nightmare that is covering the event. It would seem more and more that it's become nigh impossible for you guys to get excited about the games that are shown when you're too busy getting caught in this endless clusterfuck every year. Perhaps just send out an army of interns to walk the floor while the crew just hangs out at a bar and does a live cast, or make Patrick do it. Either way, Godspeed and good luck. Talked a fair amount about that today in the office of figuring out how we're going to do it. Want to go to the floor.
Yeah, the floor. Yeah,
want to go see stuff. Want to go shake hands. Don't want to hide.
That's fun.
As demanding as E3 can be, and as infuriating as just the machinations of the whole thing can be.
Still fun. I honestly feel like we are probably like 1 to 3 years away from just getting our own booth on the floor and doing the nonstop all-day live show.
Please come visit us.
Yeah.
It's E3.
I feel like that's where this is headed.
Yeah. It gets, because those are I think the most frustrating parts are the communication aspects, the miscommunication aspects, the kind of like, setting up, getting all that stuff together.
Expectations.
Showing up at an event that you were told you could bring cameras to.
Yeah,
and you told, like, that guy can't get in here, especially with this camera.
Or like, well, I just want to cover your event. That's all I want to do.
I just want to cover the video games.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to. I'm not here to fucking hang out by your goddamn open bar.
Ain't a cheese eater. I just want to.
I'm not here to take up space.
And like, just say no next time. It's okay.
Yeah, straight up.
Yeah.
Don't say it'll probably be okay, and then have it be. Yeah, exactly.
That's a nice dream, except when the person that you booked it with is not the person who greets you at the door.
Right,
yeah,
so that's what I'm saying. It's
that's
like
what makes it so much fun.
That's the really frustrating part. Is like the communication and miscommunication part, and just kind of like. In the end, we really kind of just want, like Jeff said, you just want to see the game and stuff like that. And, sometimes you can't. And sometimes there's like, maybe we can. And then for every time there's a maybe we can, it means we're probably not seeing something else that we can.
Yeah, because we're standing around waiting to see, like, while they go check, and then it ends up being that situation where you've seen the game, and now you're like, so we can get the interview that we talked about for this, right? And then everyone looks at everyone and goes, oh.
No.
I mean, hang on.
Yeah.
If you can hang out here for 45 minutes, we can get you an interview. It's like, all right, well, we've got 3 other things booked. So.
They're doing print first. And
it requires...
It's just weird.
Unbelievable flexibility.
On everyone's part.
On everyone's part.
It's easy to kind of complain about how some companies handle this stuff, but
we don't get what we want.
Is they've got
a billion
different people beating down their door saying like.
I'm not saying it's easy on their part either, but it's
a lot of thinking on your feet.
It does get really hard, especially like I said, when you're like at E3 when like minutes are becoming accounted for, and you're like the longer I spend here means I need to get to this other place, this other appointment or something. It gets really taxing on your nerves.
I like E3 more because it's a lot easier at E3 to cut the non-essentials quickly. That's like, oh, we can't get direct feed? All right, fuck it. We don't have time. Let's keep going.
Yeah,
then great. We won't cover this game.
That guy is still going to be another 5 minutes before he's ready to go. Well, we have another appointment. See you later.
But there's also like E3. I also feel like is a lot of politicking becomes very apparent very quickly.
Yeah.
Of like, well, we're giving it to this guy. We're not giving it to you.
I remember starting out like years and years ago, going around trying to get like asset discs or get in to see stuff or whatever, and it's like if you had like an exhibits only badge, it was like forget it.
Right. At least
and it was like weird cases where like in some cases like I could get an asset disc and you couldn't because
this was even before I worked at any. It's just like showing up at E3, like.
Well, I remember even being at a publication where it was like, they aren't these guys at the booth, aren't giving out beta tapes to
online
to these
only
online
for
guys.
Broadcast. It's like you realize we can take those tapes also like.
We can use those.
The internet is sort of like a television.
Especially because, I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of temp employees at this thing.
Yeah.
Well, it's like they're just being handed down. They're being said, this stuff's only for TV guys. If they don't say beta or they don't say broadcast on them, don't give it to them.
Like they receive one set of instructions and they just stick to it.
Yeah.
And that's just how it works.
It's less of an issue. Well, there are still issues with that stuff. It's not as smooth as it could be.
But
that specific issue doesn't seem to happen much.
Fucking crazy. It's a giant crazy machine run by a bunch of lunatics.
Yeah.
And you can't expect everybody to be on the same page.
No, definitely not. That's why you have to think on your feet and just roll with everything that happens.
Everyone is either like super wired on caffeine or something, or completely hungover,
super hungover,
or sometimes both.
Or both.
And it's.
And also, you see,
caffeine.
But then I feel like you also see within the industry, like while you're there, and I really don't mean this pointed at anybody in particular, but it's a huge industry on both ends, and there's a lot of like bad behavior on both ends. On the press side, you got a lot of jerks and idiots who are there to just take advantage of like the hospitality or like, don't shoot this, sir, don't shoot this. Like, please put your cameras away.
Like every presentation starts with like no cameras allowed, and then invariably like 5 people start holding up cameras.
And so like, you really can't blame people on the other end for being like, this is a closed booth demo. We're not inviting like everybody in, because you got people who are just like, you want to play along. It's got to work both ways, and so it just makes it harder on everyone at that point to be like,
yeah, it sucks.
And then like, sometimes we'll just be like, people will like accuse you of different things just because you have a camera, being like, are you filming that? Are you not filming that? Are you doing this? And it's like, no, like really, all I want to do is play it straight. Like, I just want to do my job.
Hey, Vinny,
not talking about anyone specific.
Vinny, you're not filming that, are you?
That's what they do. They film it. They tell you they're not filming it.
The red light means stand by.
But it's like literally,
no, baby, it's just charging.
Yeah, it's so that stuff, when it starts getting like weirdly personal, like that's when it's just like, I know it's not
or
personal.
like we're to the point where people think that you're lying or that you have some nefarious.
It's like, I really don't want to see your game that badly.
This is not how we operate. We're not just like, here's clandestine.
It's like that they just want to take advantage of you, and as soon as you turn your back, they'll film it. And like, no,
it's like, you overestimate the value of 30 seconds of footage of your fucking video game. I don't care what game it is.
And some of that stuff gets really weird. And that stuff can get really frustrating. But E3 itself, you see a lot of cool stuff.
Oh, thank God, man. This podcast was getting really dark for a second.
And I think as much bitching and moaning I have to say, I think we all do, it's for fun at the end of it.
Chicken tikka masala burritos. That's what E3's about.
Oh, I didn't get one of those last year.
You're gonna.
Oh, you're gonna get it. And you will get it.
You will get it.
All right. I'll fall asleep and it'll end up in my head.
I mean, but at the end of the day, like
that's not where you're worried about it coming out of.
You really do walk away and you see some cool stuff at the end of the day, and it's a privileged thing to see some of that stuff before other people.
It's really exciting, and it's weird because it's like I kind of feel like I've seen
some stuff already.
A lot of it.
I don't know, but I counted. This is my 15th consecutive E3.
How many E3s have there been?
I think 17.
Yeah. So this is my 17th consecutive E3. Or whatever, but yeah, it's
that's the
at
biggest.
some point it just switches. You go from like preparing for E3 to just fucking autopilot, and it's just like give me the list of things I need to write, give me the list of places I need to be in when, and we'll do it. Like things will come up that get in the way that make that practically impossible.
Right.
But we will do as much as we can with what we have. And that goes for if you are a staff of 30 or a staff of 7. It's
my 11th. I think in '99, and I don't think I showed up again until 2002.
Working E3, working it on either end. I think everybody has a little dread.
Yeah.
I don't envy. I don't envy the developers or the PR.
Oh man, they've got it way worse than we do.
Yeah.
Developers have to stand in one spot and give the same demo over and over. And I'm sure they're excited to be showing their game. Like, that part is awesome. But
I can always think back to E3 from 2 years ago. It was the first year they were back on, like, the floors.
Yeah. But was that like the weird, like, still kind of smallish?
It was getting bigger,
floor,
but it was like there was Santa Monica year, then there was the meeting rooms year. No, because that was the meeting rooms year.
So this was the one where the Microsoft press conference was at the West Hall or whatever.
It might have been.
Okay.
No, because this.
And they were all still in the meeting rooms at the convention center.
Might have. No. This was like the first full return.
Okay.
To proper E3, like both main halls. Anyway, I will always remember, like, end of the day, last day, we go to Konami, and there is this dude in the Konami booth who I have seen the entire show running past the Konami booth. He is standing in the Konami booth, running the demonstration for
Karaoke Revolution.
For Karaoke Revolution for the Wii, which they had just rebooted and rebranded as just Karaoke Revolution after going through a shitload of sequels previously on, like, the PS2 era.
Yeah.
And, he's got, like, a 5-song demo of this Karaoke Revolution game that he has clearly been demoing nonstop for the past 3 days. And or seeing him end of the last day and just thinking, fuck. You know what, Jeff? We need to go and play a song with this guy and completely fucking blow it out. Will be his last demo of the whole show, and he will be at least somewhat redeemed.
And we will not let him sing. We will both sing.
Yeah,
so
we will
he does
both
not
sing.
have
So
to.
you can just stand there, sir, and watch us have a really good time with your game and sing our guts out to whatever dumb song is in this.
And on a high note.
Yeah.
Take it home.
So I know, no matter how bad E3 might go, at least my E3 wasn't that guy's E3. So I will always hold that in my heart and know that. So. Yeah, we're heading down soon. I'm going down next Friday and securing the location, the house, changing the locks.
Yeah, and then we'll head down
And you guys
Saturday and Sunday.
will roll down shortly thereafter, and then we'll
And then E3 will happen
in the blink
whether
of
we
an eye.
want it to or not.
I think our goal is just that we try to get as much coverage as we can, and if you don't see the coverage on the site, it's probably because something bad happened or we got stonewalled or whatever. So that's why we kind of can't make.
That's not entirely true. There is actually a ton of stuff that we pass on. We do run a pretty heavy filter.
That's true. I mean, right.
There's a lot of stuff we're kind of saying no thank you to. There's some stuff that I saw last week that we're not going to go see again.
Right.
And that doesn't even necessarily
Absolutely.
mean that they are bad games. It's more just I saw it. We're covered.
Time during E3 is so high pressure. It's really also kind of like it's. I understand why it exists and it needs to exist, and it's everyone can come together this one time and everyone can see everyone else's shit, and that's an important thing for an industry. But it's kind of a really awful place to go and look at games, as far as like your condition, the condition of the person that's showing you the game. How many other things you are seeing during that time?
Yeah,
like the things that can just get lost in the old brain bucket are numerous. So
I was thinking more. I was thinking more of like
triage, like a motherfucker.
It's kind of the Ryan's point, but what I meant in terms of like the coverage stuff is like it is not a place to try and do a quick look EX.
Nope.
Or direct feed of anything. That's why like most of that stuff winds up being interviews and like like the production team. Everybody just scrabbles around as much B-roll as you can.
Yeah.
The classic example of the wretched E3 demoing environment for me was trying to see a new Sims game, which is like Sims, pretty steady, sedate series, very detail oriented. And I was standing there trying to get the demo of this game next to a speaker taller than me, like booming like the latest
right in your ear.
like the latest Madden soundtrack or whatever was coming out of that thing. It's just like it's the worst possible place to try to absorb information about a game.
I remember we tried. What did we do? We did like a Forza demo or something, and didn't have a tripod and didn't have a monopod. Was it Forza? It was like Forza 2 or something, and I just wound up having to hold the camera.
That was a PAX. I remember that.
Was it in that back room?
Oh yeah.
But yes, you held the
Holy
camera.
cow.
It was Forza 3 in that back room
It
of
was
PAX.
For like 25, 30 minutes or
Oh,
something.
that's
And I just kept talking.
That was just the end. So it's a lot of that kind of stuff, and it's getting weirder and weirder. I think it is back to pretty much just E3, right?
It is. It's full
Yeah.
size again. Yeah.
It's weirder and weirder, but it's like I feel like we get the access we need to the games that we care about.
Yeah,
It's like
most part. But then when it doesn't work out that way, then I just feel even weirder.
it's yes.
And like
you know what? That's just us.
Yeah,
like
being
when a
whiny. I
big
know.
thing happens, it's like know your place. Like
guess.
yes, when it's slow, they're your buddies and they will set you up with access. But when it's USA Today time, I'm sorry, you don't rate quite the same way.
which is always kind of weirded me out between like the enthusiast press and then broadcast.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know. I just want to be labeled as broadcast at some point. I don't know. Let's start our own channel somewhere. It doesn't even have to get, we're broadcast.
Yeah.
We do public access. It's cool, right?
Isn't there some union you can join? Like
We could start doing that if you wanted to. If you want to start doing public access.
Like, is that, like, would that make us more broadcast than, like,
Who knows? I don't even.
Yeah.
I don't even want to think about.
Does that even still exist?
Yeah.
Public access?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, like, there's weird, it's just weird stuff like that. That's the part that's always weird.
Well, yeah. That's kind of been the weird fight. Since I started doing this.
Well, it was
in the mid '90s. It was the print versus online
yeah.
thing of just like, there were Japanese companies that wouldn't work with online because they assumed you were pirates. Like literally, they were just like Square didn't want anything to do with you until about 1997, and then they were like, oh, okay, I guess I guess this is still...
And even then,
super crazy. Square, still kind of super crazy.
Yeah.
Just in a different way now that Eidos is
but
there.
I remember the height of early aughts Square super craziness.
You're just
it was
what?
Intense.
What do you want?
Well, was that when they wouldn't let you even cover games when they were released? Like,
yeah, like there was a while though they didn't want you putting up footage of games or taking your own screenshots of games after they were out. And it was like... And you know, it's like you hadn't really gotten through those battles enough times to really know to just say you're out of your fucking mind and just do it. So it was
Those were the days when like constant threats of like we will not work with you anymore if you do not do this.
Exactly. Yeah, nonstop. Any Japanese company was all about threatening to cut you off any chance they got.
Yeah.
And a lot of the US companies also. Yeah, everything was for as standoffish as things can get now about like footage stuff. Like to me that viewpoint just seems like very old school, like outdated,
right.
like someone who is not out there in the field understanding how things actually work now. They still think like, oh, you know, no, you guys can't if you're going to take screenshots, you can only take 20. Like, all right, what? Like, I don't want to take any screenshots of your game. So why don't we just start there?
Yeah.
You can have that concession.
Yeah.
I feel like I just should say before we end this, some companies are really awesome.
Yeah,
like some companies do a
absolutely.
fantastic job. They have great assets.
Yep.
They have like all their information, their
Good
appointments.
communication.
I'd go as far as to say there are great people at every company.
Yeah.
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 Just, you know,
Sometimes it just
Sometimes the machine eats them.
sometimes the wheels need a little grease.
Right. I don't mean to make it sound like all these companies are bad. Like sometimes you walk away and you're like, that was perfect. That's really weird. That
Right.
couldn't have
Yeah,
gone
yeah.
Wow,
better.
I got all the access that I wanted. It was
Yeah.
super quick.
We'll be able to turn this around. It'll be a great piece.
Yeah.
It'll be super smooth and
Sometimes
like
it clicks.
yeah.
And sometimes you have to fight for it.
Yeah,
Sometimes it's still worth it if you have to fight for it.
Yeah.
So, you know.
And sometimes you fight for it and don't get it, and you're just like, I don't understand. Like, it's not, I understand the notion of not wanting to spoil things story related to this game or whatever, but
Yeah. So sometimes stuff just seems
you're basically standing there saying, please don't cover this game. I'm like, okay, if that's what you really want. We can help with that.
That takes literally the least amount of effort from us.
Exactly.
So.
In fact, if that's going to be your approach, let us know up front.
it'll be a fun one.
It will.
At some point.
At some point, it will become fun. Yes.
Yeah, in about 4 weeks, you'll look back and go, oh, that was, yeah. That was
I
fun.
I usually really enjoy all the press conference stuff because it's kind of passive.
Yeah.
At that
Also,
point.
just like when you're there, you're like,
Oh,
there's
those are the exciting moments.
there's
Yeah.
the buzz, there's the we don't know what's going to happen
Right.
when the lights go down, and then they start showing games, and like it's always the most exciting thing about E3 is the shit you don't know anything about.
You're sitting in a seat and some dude is like, I'm going
Yeah.
to tell you all about next year.
Like when you
or
get
like
down
what to
to
expect.
it,
And
when you get down to it, E3 is about 3 hours long.
Yeah.
It's those three press conferences.
right, because they
It's
always
like-
end with like, you can see more on the floor. And it's
It's
like,
like oh shit, they just announced the PlayStation 4, and oh shit, it's Steven Spielberg,
Right.
and oh my god, stuff.
Look at these laser
happening.
tag guns, they're amazing.
Wait, not that part.
wait, did you say
so
it's
much.
4 hours long?
3.
I said 3, but I mean,
It's about 7 if James Cameron's there. You know, he'll,
Yeah.
No, I think you can subtract the Ubisoft press conference out of there unless you're.
I hope they knock it out of the park this year. I really do.
Joe McHale's really going to bring it this
I
year.
hope it's
They're
awesome.
teaming him up with Jamie Kennedy. So it's finally
Right.
the tag team
I hope they
duo.
just close with Michael Jackson again. Just bring that back.
Really?
And of course, Konami.
Well,
Konami
Konami's
has a lot to answer for.
Konami's getting out ahead of E3.
Yeah, exactly. They're just going to have their thing on the 2nd or whatever, right?
Yeah.
It's
Is that open to
It's
the
next
public?
week.
I couldn't really get...
They're
having
doing viewing parties?
Right, which makes it sound like when they first said that, I was like, so you just want like people to show up at
We should go
theaters
to,
around the
We
country?
should go to
And,
one of those and interview the people who go to it.
yeah, exactly. Like
Because who goes to a
seems like
Konami press conference viewing party?
The only question is, why are you here?
Why are you here? I thought this was like a rally for something. I don't know.
I was
It
told
is.
I was going to get
We
a free
need-
copy
we
of
need a million
Metal Gear
troops.
Solid 4.
I was told that they were going to make another DVD with reaction shots of people watching a Metal Gear trailer, so I figured I could show up and be a part of that.
They might actually be doing that.
When they announced that stuff, that was the first thing I thought,
bet
is that they
they're
were
gonna do
trying to
that.
recreate those moments. And
The
they
DVD
needed to
is
bring
awesome.
the public in to make it happen again because the press is too jaded to
That
handle
DVD
it.
is pretty awesome, I have to say. That is still the defining moment of every E3 ever to me. Was the Metal Gear Solid 2 trailer?
So I never went to most of those Konami press conferences.
I didn't make it to that thing.
Yeah.
But even on the show floor,
that DVD, like, what a piece of fucking wankery! What a just indulgent ass.
But again,
I mean, it kind of speaks to just how like significant Metal Gear Solid was.
The fervor around that first trailer, that first E3 they showed it at, was like nothing I have ever seen before or since at that show.
I mean,
What about Killzone 2?
Yeah, still beat the because that was not real. That was fucking smoke and mirrors.
But then you weren't really sure.
Metal Gear was pretty clearly a real game. You could see the seams that indicated that it was actually.
Well, I remember for years you would walk past the Konami booth and there would be this fucking sea of kids sitting cross-legged in front of whatever giant screen they had that was showing the 9-minute.
It was all
It was what made it so much fun to have exhibitor badges, because you could just walk around the night before and hope that they were running their trailer loop, or at least look at all the signage that was going up as they were building the booths.
But while trying to act totally nonchalant.
Yeah, exactly. Act like you're not paying any attention to it.
Yeah, I'm totally union. I'm
just standing here. I'm just eating a sandwich, leaning on this box.
Yep, I'm not trying to look at all of the signs on these kiosks.
not at all writing down the things we need to go play tomorrow.
And then eventually
security guard that will not take any of your of our bullshit.
I always found they would take a surprising amount of our bullshit.
Yeah, it's just like, oh yeah, where's your booth? Us.
Over here.
South Hall? I don't know. Well, this is West Hall.
Oh, well, that's probably
that
why.
explains why we can't find it. Shit, thanks.
Thanks, dude.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Hey, have a good night. Go back to this unair-conditioned convention center hall.
Oh, God.
That's why you don't get a booth. Working in the hall after hours and the AC dies.
Right.
Just that.
To the standing air.
Well, it doesn't help if you're working in a fucking plastic box.
Yep. It doesn't help. So, the combination of freestanding, still convention center air, booth funk.
Well, I'm not saying let's build a plastic box to work out of.
Filled with 800
I'm
PCs.
saying let's build a live set.
What if we do that anyways? What if just at the house we build a plastic box to work out of?
Only if it has, like, stickers of my face that we can put on it.
I'll talk to Daniel. I'll see what we can get mocked up before the show.
Christ.
Big stickers of our faces.
Actually, I just want big stickers of Tim Tracy.
I think he has those.
Yeah.
He's been throwing those up all across Williamsburg. All right, that's it for emails. Thanks everyone who wrote in. Once again, if you want your email read on the show.